Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Rapid Reflections podcast. I'm here with Wesley today,
Hey guys, we're back again with another episode.
and today kind of follows on from last time where we would talk about our plans for this year, and you would have heard from Wesley that one of his projects that he'll be running over the course of the year would be to set up streaming, so regular streams, but
Yeah.
I'll sort of let him talk about that. But maybe first of all, we'll start with kind of like the inception of it. So where did you get this idea to stream in the first place, would you say?
Yeah, it's actually been an idea in my back pocket for a really, really long time, but never really had the time or the courage, I guess, to sort of really try it. But I think this year's the year where I'll force myself to do something. It goes back to, I guess, my own interests. I really like watching streams myself. I like games. I'm kind of in touch with the gaming community, and Twitch is like the biggest platform for this. And so I think my favorite part of watching Twitch, I guess, is the community aspect, where it sort of feels like, and it's very parasocial, but you have this where you have this community where the streamer has built, where there's a lot of inside jokes, and you sort of know kind of what you're expecting when you go into a stream. And I think it's also very personalized. Like, you go there for the personality, the streamer, and just seeing things that having shared interests, like you see them doing things you like to do, sort of builds this sort of sense of connection. I think that's something that I think can also be brought into, not just gaming, but education, math.
I guess because like it's happening live, the streamer can react back to how the audience.
And I think that's something. And I think that's something I really like about streams too, I guess, as opposed to watching videos. I do watch a lot of math explainer videos, pop science / mathy explainers. The one thing I think they do really well is obviously it's really, really well planned out. It's really organized. It's a really nice story. It's like reading a very well written book, right? It's very planned out. But I think one thing that's probably missing from it that I would like to see is, the live aspect where, at some point I can sort of pause and ask, oh, but what about this? Or I can say, well, what sort of assumptions did you have in mind when you sort of came up with this idea? I think these are sort of questions that are sort of missed when you have watching a video.
Sure.
And so I think that's where the live experience comes in. You can interact with your viewers where they can sort of ask you questions real time. And also they can see your learning real time, like they can see your thinking process real time. And I think these raw elements are really important and not really showed as much as the really polished stuff. And I think that goes to even in uni when we do courses, right? Like everything's very well organized. We follow some textbook with some curriculum, and everything's very scheduled. And it makes it feel like you sort of need to learn in that same way. But from my experience and a lot of other people that I've talked to, learning just isn't like that. It's very messy and it's different for everyone.
Definitely
and so,
non-linear.
it's very, very non-linear. And I just think the illusion a course creates is that it is meant to be linear. And so I think it gives people a lot of anxiety when they don't feel like they're following that sort of linearity.
Yeah, they see a definition, theory, and proof, and then they get confused and like.
Yeah, when in fact, like, so much work has been and thinking has been done into the putting in what a definition should be before the theorem or whatever even comes out. And so a definition might look really simple, but there's actually a lot of thought behind it. And to me, that's what needs to be highlighted much, much more.
Because like when someone prepares a textbook, I think the mistake that some people run into is they try to go for the most concise way to explain something. So like, this is the most elegant way. It has, just the right amount of tools and text to describe everything. If anyone's read Rudin's textbooks, any of his series and analysis, you would know that his proofs, they're very opaque. They're like, some proofs are like 2 sentences long. But when I was going through some of them, even to go through that first sentence of a proof, I think in the end again took me like a whole afternoon and like half a page of like actually like trying to figure out like where he like dreamed up
where this idea comes from.
Where the idea came from.
Yeah, and to me that's like the essence of math, and I think a lot of learning. And when you read one sentence, it doesn't give any signs that that's what's required.
Yeah,
and it gives readers a very different idea of what math/learning should look like.
There's a big disconnect between, I guess, the inception of the idea and coming to that final presentation versus if you're what the actual presentation looks like.
Yeah,
it's a very non-linear, messy path, as we were saying. Right. To come up with the ideas, we probably fell into multiple pitfalls, maybe some wrong definitions along the way.
It's like inefficient methods.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tangents and side paths you explore on the journey to learning.
But you don't get any of that when the proof just starts with
just falls out.
Equals root 2 on 5 times.
Yeah. And so something. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be explored in this realm. I think I just don't really see this on the internet anywhere, really. I know the main problem with this is that it's not very interesting to watch someone sit there and just do maths for 3 hours, or like get stuck on a problem for 3 hours. So there needs to be some sort of balance of entertainment / usefulness and in terms of its education. But I think I'll try and figure that out as I go with the stream. I think the main thing is to just get started.
Yeah. So I guess given that, how would you summarize the overall purpose and vision of what the streams will entail?
The purpose of the stream, I think, can be summarized to 2 main things. I think one is to, like I said, create a community where people can come in and feel confident enough that they can ask questions and not to be scared or judged or anything, because we're all here, we're all doing math, it's a struggle. And it would just be a community where people can ask questions and get answers. I think that's one major purpose.
Yeah, because I think studying math can feel like a very lonely endeavor.
Yeah, for sure.
There was a great video, I think, that we saw on it.
Yeah,
where basically, because of how you're doing something so specific, I mean, you've already alienated probably 99% of the population. Doing maths at a uni level, not most people are going to know what's going on.
That's right.
So not a lot of people can relate to it. And then even within the field itself, as you go further and further,
it just becomes more and more specialized.
Specialized. So even talking to a fellow mathematician, I guess when you're at ANU, you can talk to the fellow postgrad students, but the projects might already be
they'll be so different. It'll be hard to sort of have any conversation that's sort of satisfying for yourself. You can sort of very roughly describe what you're doing in a general way, but nothing that's sort of satisfactory in terms of understanding really what that it is you're doing.
So I guess building that community is definitely vital.
And I sort of want to have a platform where I reach not just math students, but people who might be not doing math but sort of slightly interested, or even anyone really, because I think the idea is to just bring awareness to why we care about this in the first place.
Yeah, because that kind of led me into my second question, where I guess for sure I could see math students at university being one of the main parts of your audience for the stream. But how would you bring the general public in? Obviously it would be nice to have someone who might be interested in math to hop along, but I guess would there be a concern that the stuff you talk about in the stream might already be too complicated or inaccessible to the general public?
For sure. I think that's probably one of the main reasons why we don't see that much of this kind of content. It's hard to even justify why anyone should be watching this stuff unless they already have an interest, or unless they have some specific reason to be there. To that end, I think I've tried to think about what kind of, activities I can plan to do on stream that are sort of more friendly to a more general audience. And that's where I sort of had that idea for Kumon, speed running, and sort of gamifying things. I think that's probably the right term. Sort of gamifying things so that as a viewer, it's easy to sort of see what's going on, even if you don't really understand. For example, like watching like a chess game. You know, if you're watching two grandmasters playing chess, you don't really understand the moves to say, but there's some sort of entertainment value there. That's why it can still bring an audience.
And I guess if they're blitzing out moves really quickly, that can become engaging.
Yeah, and
some trash talk.
That's right, and I think there is some sort of element of gamifying things to sort of have an audience there to watch, even though they're not specifically understanding what it is that you're doing. And I think I don't have all the details figured out, but I think that's definitely something I will try and pursue.
I think, yes, speed running, definitely an interesting idea. Math being done, sure, that's something that could be done on a stream. Math done fast, I think that already raises some eyebrows.
That's right.
I think, yes, someone blitzing through something, I think, is already, I guess, adds level of engagement.
A reason to watch, which is, and I guess Kumon is also a dual purpose. I guess I want to attract people who already do Kumon, because I think they should be seeing more math than what it is presented in Kumon, because I think Kumon presents a very, very narrow avenue of math, which is not the interesting parts, I would say. And so I would like to attract that audience. I think they would also be sort of young enough where they haven't really started uni, but they may be like early, late high school, thinking about math. And I think that's the kind of audience that I would really like to attract as well, because I would sort of be able to show them what's sort of after what they're doing right now.
Yeah, and also I guess for the people who maybe only did maths up to high school, never went further, what math could be and what's actually hiding behind maybe some of their preconceptions of what math is. Yeah,
breaking that stereotype. I think that's also something that I want to do on my stream. So I guess in terms of purpose, that's sort of the other purpose, is to sort of demystify math. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about it. And also, another way of demystifying is, I'm a master's student, I'll be running my thesis, and so hopefully I will be able to show basically what that side looks like, the messy side. So not my thesis, but the sort of writing of my thesis and the planning of it, the messiness of it, sort of how much planning and thought goes into sort of that process and what research looks like.
I guess an actual real day in the life of master's student writing
day in the
thesis.
life of, but unedited, unfiltered. You don't just see sped up versions of someone at a computer.
Yeah, and they just type a whole chapter within one sitting. I mean, probably like 2 words a minute or something, and probably delete all of them by the end of the hour.
That's right. Yeah, so it won't be pretty, but I think that's the point. I think that also hopefully gives people confidence that, this doesn't look that unapproachable, and maybe it is something I might also want to pursue.
Yeah, or on the flip side, it could have maybe mixed outcome of someone being like, so this is what masters or this is what research is. Actually, it sucks.
That's also a good outcome. Like
that's good,
if you come away watching this and go, I never want to do this. I think that's great that you know that.
Better knowing that transparently up front rather than being like, masters, that sounds like something interesting that smart people do.
Yeah, maybe I should do that too, just to be smart.
And then you don't end up wasting your time after realizing that this wasn't for you.
Yeah, I think whatever decision you come to, like if it sort of helped inform your decision, then I think the stream's doing what it needs to do.
Whether it encourages or deters, I think either one is a plus.
It helps, sure. I think those are the main focuses of my stream, I would say.
Yeah. I think that kind of sums it up well at a high level, what you want to achieve. I think the next question is a bit more into the concrete details of it. So like what to actually expect from the format. So we've talked a bit about Kumon speed runs, maybe like going through thesis writing, but like what can we expect from like a day-to-day level from the stream? Like what are the usual activities to expect?
I think those are very like, I guess specifically with the Kumon speedrun, that's probably going to be, a one-time event. Once I've done it, there's probably not much point in doing it again. I assume that would take, like no more than 3 streams to complete, like in one sitting. So I will probably start with the Kumon speedrun. I think maybe even before that, what I would probably do is host some sort of Kumon AMA session. I did have a look at the Kumon Reddit page, and it is very active, funnily enough. So I think as a general event, what I would like to do is I would have a few hours on stream where it's just a free-for-all AMA. Ask me anything, ask me a math question, I'll try and help you out with it, kind of thing. If it's Kumon based, then I'm confident I will be able to help you. If it's high school, it should be okay as well. But anything sort of outside of these bounds, I can't guarantee an answer, but I can guarantee a discussion. And I think just having that space where people can come in and talk about math, is just a good thing to have. I think even another option is just having these discussion sessions where maybe, for example, other postgrad students want to come and sort of present their research. They want to practice talking about their research. That should be a platform.
Like live guests as well.
Live guests, yeah. Yeah, that would be something I would think about doing as well, depending on if I can get anyone. But that would also be cool. I just think, having a platform where everyone can speak. I think that's probably the general vibe I would go for. Like coming into a stream, you should probably expect something like that. Otherwise, if I'm writing my thesis, hopefully it will be an opportunity for me to verbalize my thoughts and my learnings, because that's also something I've found helps me understand what I'm doing, just verbalizing it. And so I guess the Twitch stream will just be, there'll be an audience there seeing me verbalize things in real time. And obviously if people have questions about what I'm doing, that's the platform for it. But I guess the main structure right now is some sort of discussion session. Is the main format I'm looking for, and I think the details will sort of work out as I go.
So I guess with the sort of Kumon AMA and the Kumon speedrun being, I guess, the start of it, kind of leads me to asking where would you source maybe that initial audience? Like you mentioned the subreddit for Kumon's quite active, so maybe we can find some people from there. But how would you find that initial sort of audience base to build up before you sort of get into the swing of it?
Honestly, I don't have that good of ideas other than posting things on the internet and hoping people read it. I think that's always the hardest thing, right? Like, how do you start?
Bit of an unknown, right? Because you don't know how well it'll be received until you kind of actually do it.
Yeah, and in all honesty, probably it won't be very well received. Like it won't even be seen by most people. But the idea is even if there's a few people, a handful of people that find this to be useful, then I think it's already fulfilling.
Yeah, and say 3 people join the stream regularly. Is this something that you would see yourself keeping up?
I still think that's something worth doing. I mean, it kind of is basically me doing my private tutoring, but sort of on a online level, globally, kind of. Yeah.
And I guess as long as there's value in what you're doing for yourself, then it doesn't really matter.
And also that's another thing. I feel like this also gives me a lot of purpose to sort of pursue this project. I think it also helps me learn a lot of things while I do this, and so hopefully I can keep this up. I think that's the main. In some funny
way, especially when it gets to you doing your thesis writing live on stream, it kind of holds you accountable, especially if you have a schedule for it. It's well, damn, now I actually have to sit and write my thesis on this evening because there's
I have people waiting for me. Yeah, and I think that'll be good. It will push me to sort of do my work. I think that's also a really helpful thing if I can manage to get this to be consistent. One thing I did think about was how often should I be streaming? Given that I probably should be working on my thesis every day, that might mean I'm streaming every day, but I see that as a really big commitment.
Yeah.
So I haven't figured out how much I want to commit yet. But I do think maybe sometimes it's worth doing things that are not just yeah, I haven't decided whether I want to sort of include gaming stuff in there as well. But I do see that as kind of like a nice change of pace to my streams. Maybe like, Friday night, Saturday nights, I like the long gaming stream. I don't know. But it could be something that I do where different days I have sort of different activities planned, where weekdays I'm grinding out my thesis and the weekends I'm a bit more relaxed. It's a bit more free and then I can play games if I want. Yeah. And just like sort of change up the format so I don't feel super restricted as to what I need to do on stream. Yeah.
Yep, awesome. Well, I guess the last thing to ask is when's the first one scheduled so that I guess anyone listening now knows when it is and where to look out for it.
So once this episode is posted is basically when I should be thinking about it. So I'm thinking currently it would be on the 9th of February. So that should be a Sunday. I mean, I don't expect many people to come, so the idea is I'll just have the stream on and I'll just do my own thing, and then it will be the Kumon AMA thing, and we'll see how that goes. And then once I sort of have an idea of what it's like, because it's my first time streaming, I don't really know what's happening.
So some technical issues, I'm sure.
Once I sort out all those issues and blah blah blah, then I can sort of think about a date for a speed run. Also keeping in mind I will be also moving into Canberra in these few weeks, so things will be busy. But once I have these things figured out, then I can sort of decide, okay, have a date for a speed run and sort of hopefully have a consistent streaming schedule.
Because what's the setup looking like right now? So, because I imagine you'd have to have some gear to maybe like easily scribble and do writing.
Yeah. So some sort of document camera that sort of reflects my pages, Kumon pages onto my computer. I'm also thinking maybe I could scan it and do it on my iPad, but I sort of need to work out the logistics for that.
I want to say the traditional Kumon experience is just pencil and paper.
I do like the pencil paper.
But that's changed now, hasn't it?
That has changed, yeah. That's maybe something I would complain about on stream.
During the AMA.
But I do think I prefer the pencil paper method, which means
the good old days.
Yeah, I might need to go get a document camera set up. But yeah, that's basically it.
And basic webcam mic.
Basic webcam mic, yeah. Monitor, 2 monitors, one for the stream, what the stream sees, and I guess the other one would be for the admin stuff. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, I guess it doesn't seem too bad of a setup. Hopefully,
hopefully it goes smoothly. Yeah, but
figure out in familiar ground.
I think with these things, it's better to sort of just start and then figure out as you go. I think that's the easiest way to sort of go about it. You can never really plan every aspect of it.
Just kind of have to just jump in. I guess that's why, like, you being put off for so long, you're like, okay, just jump in.
That's right. I think that's the idea for this
best way to learn.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, hopefully it all goes well. I guess very soon after this episode,
we can check back in, maybe. See how
do a post-mortem?
See how it went, talk about it. Yeah. Well, you definitely hear from us again, so.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we'll keep this one short today, but just to sum up the plan for the stream, and I guess act as a bit of a time capsule to say, whether on the 9th you actually did follow through and how it's gone after that. So.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah. We'll check in next time.
Yep.
Thanks for
tuning in.